Hi guys, welcome back to the Shannon Show podcast. So today's episode is going to be a review of Love Island 2019, episode 48, which is the penultimate episode, the last episode before the final. So the main kind of crux of this episode was meeting the parents. We see Maura and Curtis's parents come in first, and straight away I could already kind of tell that Maura's mum doesn't like Curtis and doesn't think that he's genuine. She kind of plays it off as, I trust your judgment, whatever makes you happy. But we all know those are the words of somebody who basically doesn't like who you're with. And it's kind of those ones where they won't really say anything until you break up with that person. I think that's what it is. And maybe Maura's mum herself knows that Maura is playing that Curtis is a part of her game plan and, doesn't want to say anything that might, throw her game off. Curtis's parents don't really say anything bad about Maura, which I find quite suspicious, but perhaps maybe they're just happy that Curtis has found a woman. Curtis's mum kind of brings up, that he thinks that her and Amy will be friends for life. But Curtis's dad doesn't really say anything, and Curtis's dad kind of says it's good that you were honest with her. So I feel like perhaps his mum liked Amy, but his dad didn't. But what kind of vibes did you get from Curtis and Maura's parents? Next, it was Ovi's family. Ovi's parents didn't come in, and I'm definitely not surprised that his parents didn't come in. Ovi's Nigerian. We all know African parents, are not here for their children going on reality TV. Ovi himself even said that he was surprised his brother came to the show because he's quite low-key. So I'm kind of thinking the whole family, I think it's a whole kind of family thing. Because if you think about it, I think it was the whole thing where the parents said they weren't going to go on this TV. They probably heard about the show. Obviously, the show is quite hypersexual. Nigerian parents, I'm assuming they're either they're very religious. So they're probably thinking what is this show? I'm not going to be a part of it. So then it was probably the brothers now bickering back and forth, who's going to go on the show? Who's going to go on the show? And then I'm guessing one of the cousins stepped up, but the siblings were probably we can't just have two cousins going on the show. It's going to look so bad. So I guess the brother drew the short straw and went on the show. None of India or Ovi's family said, again, anything bad about each other. And I feel like the parents probably wouldn't, because they know that their place in the game could hang in the balance if they create some drama. So they didn't really say anything or reveal anything, about each other that they might not have known. Molly and Tommy's parents come in. They seem to like each other. Again, the same thing as the parents aren't really saying anything bad. Obviously, Molly and Tommy are the favourites, so they're probably thinking I don't want to mess things up for you, and also I don't want to mess up your bag because, your bag is my bag. Also, in the prior episodes, Tommy was talking about how he was all of these races, and I was probably thinking whatever, but his mum looks like someone from the Mauritius, which is in East Africa, and there is a lot of diverse faces from people who are from the Mauritius, and she definitely does look Mauritian. So yeah, I guess he was telling the truth. Amber and Greg's parents come in. They say that they love each other's family. Greg's parents get Amber this kind of necklace, and I'm kind of thinking this is kind of a bit too much. They've literally been together a week. She's saying, she got it for her because of how good she's treating her son. But I kind of feel that was a bit cheesy, and perhaps, they thought it would make them look good as a couple. So I definitely think there was some strategic thinking going on there from Greg's parents. But what are we thinking? Do you feel like it was a genuine gift, or do you feel like they were trying to sway public opinion? And lastly, it was Belle and Anton's family. Anton's mum came in. Obviously, we all know she was going to turn up. And his uncle and Belle's parents. And instantly I can kind of tell that Belle's parents not Belle's parent, but I can instantly tell that Belle's dad does not like Anton, and he was trying his best, like, to keep his true feelings in check. Like, the way that he was hugging him, he was bare, like, gripsing up his neck. So that was I feel like that was him, like, trying to, like, warn Anton that, you know, he's watching him, you know. And perhaps his mum liked Amy, but his dad didn't. Ruin things for Belle in terms of her standing in the house, so he kept it to himself. But what are we thinking? Do you feel like Belle's dad does like Anton, or do you feel like he doesn't? Obviously, Anton's mum, if you watched her on After Sun, like, you already know she was going to be extra. Like, she has her own Instagram account now, so of course she was going to play up to the cameras. She kissed Belle on the lips, which again was very extra. Like, I'm sorry, like, why would you just... I'm sorry, that was very unnecessary. Like, that's not even, like, a cultural thing. Like, you don't kiss somebody on the lips that you don't know. And then on top of that, she gave Belle a razor for Anton's ass. And again, it's just playing on this whole shaving bum thing. She knows that's a popular topic, so she bought the razor. I don't know if the producers put her up to it or not, but again, a bit of attention seeking going on. And then it's the dumping. It was a clean bottom couple with the least votes go home. I predicted that it would be Maura and Curtis that went home. It obviously, we know that it was Anton and Belle that got the boot. Ovi looked very shook when he got saved. Like, perhaps he didn't think that he was going to get more support than Anton and Belle or Maura and Curtis, because he probably knows that, like, the core demographic probably thinking, like, oh my gosh, like, so many people have backed me, like, over them. At first, like, I was thinking, like, Curtis and Maura wouldn't make it through because, you know, there has been a lot of negativity towards Curtis, and perhaps that was going to drag Maura down, even though people seem to like Maura more. But it seems like Maura has carried Curtis on her back to the finals. Also, if you're taking things by kind of, like, following, Curtis and Maura both have, like, over 1 million followers before this episode. Anton, I'm guessing he probably has 1 million now after the show's finished. But Curtis and Maura both comfortably have over 1 million followers, like just over 1 million followers. Anton, he's almost on 1 mil the last time I checked. And Belle is just touching half a mil. So if we're taking, like, followers on Instagram as currency, Curtis and Maura had a lot more support. Emotional music plays. Obviously, Anton has been there from the very beginning. I'm not really sad that he's left because the final's tomorrow. And secondly, from the beginning of the podcast, I've always said that Anton is trapped. I can't let go of the whole blackface situation. Like, my ancestors will not let me let it go. So I don't really care about Anton, to be honest. I like Belle. Will they work on the outside? I doubt it. I definitely think that Anton will give in to the temptation of his DMs, and that's going to be the end of Belle and Anton. Do you feel like Anton and Belle will last? But do you feel like it'll be short term? Or do you feel like within the week Anton's going to ditch Belle? Or do you feel like actually they could be a long-term thing? Molly and Tommy's parents come in. They seem to like each other. Again, the same thing as, like, the parents aren't really saying anything bad. See, the core demographic for people who watch the show are going to be voting for them. The core demographic is just too strong. There's too many numbers. And yeah, so I think they've pretty much got the title. I'd be very surprised if they didn't win. Pleasantly surprised if they didn't win, but I'd be very surprised if they didn't win. In terms of second place, I think Amber and Greg have secured second place. Obviously, Amber has a lot of support. She's kind of got a lot of support from Black Twitter, and as well as some support from the core demographic as well. So I feel like she's pretty much secured second place. Obviously, Ovi, most of his support is from Black Twitter, but then obviously there is some support from the core demographic as well, which is what has pushed him up this far. But I don't think there is enough. I feel like, you know, now that it's down to the final, I feel like a lot of Ovi's core votes would trickle to Amber and Greg to try and defeat Tommy and Molly. So I don't think Ovi's gonna win it, and I don't think he's gonna come second either. I think Amber's gonna snatch second place. In terms of third place, obviously Ovi has had a lot of support from Black Twitter and the core demographic. Mora now seems to have a lot of support from some of the from the obvious, and you know, the amount of support that she's got to get her to the final must be some support from the core demographic. So I keep saying core demographic. For those of you who confuse who the core demographic, I'm talking about kind of young teenage white girls. Those make up most of the population who are going to be voting for Molly and Tommy. I'm talking about probably like secondary school age. Though that is probably the core demographic, secondary school age, and then up to 30 as well of that demographic are going to be voting for Molly and Tommy. Some of them are going to be voting for Am, and then maybe a few to Ovi as well. But I feel like Mora has a lot of support from that core demographic as well. And then on top of that, obviously, that's the core demographic. But then obviously there's the white boys and the white men as well. They make up a core demographic as well. Some of them might pick Ovi, but then some of them might back Tommy as well. So that's why I feel like Molly and Tommy have pretty much secured it. Obviously, Black Twitter, we're literally like 3% of the population. And then even with other ethnic minorities, what is that? That's hardly scraping 7% of the population. So if we try and like squidge that into the amount of people that watch Love Island, maybe it's a bit more, but it's nothing compared to the core demographic. So that's why I feel like when it comes down to the final, a lot of people who might have been slacking with the votes before would come together to vote for perhaps Mora and Curtis, which might push Ovi into fourth place. But what are we thinking? Do we feel like Ovi has enough support, or will have enough support to push him to second place? I don't think he will have enough support to beat Molly and Tommy. But do you feel like he'll have enough support to even beat Amber to second place? And do you feel like he'll have enough support to beat Mora and Curtis? Let me know. I feel like I'm kind of 50-50 with it, with the third place. I'm not sure if it will be Ovi and India or Curtis and Mora, but I feel like Amber and Greg will have more support than both of them. But what are your predictions? And when I mean predictions, I mean like not who you want to win. Who do you actually think logistically the places are going to be? But also, do let me know who you want to win. Let me know who you want to win, as well as who you think like where people will place. Of course, who I voted for Amber and Greg. I like Ovi, but you know, Amber's been my day one, you know, she's been through ups and downs. She's finally flourished without Michael. So yeah, I'm going to be backing Amber and Greg. And personally, I feel like if anyone has the power to beat Molly and Tommy, I think it would be Amber and Greg. I don't think they will, but there is potential there. So I'm backing Amber and Greg. On Twitter, a lot of people seem to be upset that Anton and Belle have gone. I've already said my piece on them. Like, I've said it consistently throughout my podcast. Like that, I thought Anton was trash and should get in the bin, and I'll never forgive him for the whole blackface incident. So, yeah. Are any of you guys sad that Anton is gone? Did you think that Anton deserved to be in the final instead of Mora and Curtis? So in terms of voting on Twitter, people are saying that they voted for Amber and Greg, and they voted for Ovi and India as the winners. They voted for Amber and Greg, voted for Tommy and Molly, and some Amber and Greg, Ovi and India, Amber and Greg, Ovi and India, Molly, May and Tommy, Amber and Greg, Mora and Curtis, Amber and Greg, Amber and Greg, Amber and Greg. On Twitter, I've seen a lot of like predictions. I've seen a poll where Greg and Amber are winning in terms of who they think is going to win. Some people say that I've seen a predictor saying Molly and Tommy first, Amber and Greg second, third Ovi and India, and fourth Maura and Curtis. I've seen first Greg and Amber, second Ovi and India, third Tommy and Molly, and fourth Curtis and Maura. Some of the people actually think Tommy and Molly are coming third. Another prediction I've seen: first Amber and Greg, second Molly and Tommy, third India and Ovi, fourth Maura and Curtis. Another prediction: first Amber and Greg, second Molly and Tommy, third India and Ovi, fourth Maura and Curtis. Another prediction of Amber and Greg winning it. I've seen India and Ovi winning. Doubt it. Tommy, yeah, so it seems split between Tommy and Molly May, and Amber and Greg in terms of predictions. I feel like Tommy and Molly are going to win it though. I'd hope that Amber and Greg do, and the look on Molly's face will be a picture if they do win. But I feel like Molly and Tommy are going to win it. If you haven't yet, follow me on Twitter. My handle is shannonfabuloso. That's SHANNONFABULOSO. I usually live tweet in the episode, so feel free to at me with your opinions as you're watching the show. And yeah, I guess I'll see you tomorrow for the final. And let me know your predictions and let me know your thoughts on tonight's episode. Till tomorrow. Bye.